Okay, we're here with filmmaker, producer Bryan Stumpf, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself to our More Horror audience.
Hi, my name is Bryan Stumpf, and I directed a short horror comedy this summer. It's called Annulment, and it's basically a recently divorced couple are stuck in a house during a zombie apocalypse. And it's kind of based on my own personal experiences, not the zombie part, but the divorce part. So.
Well, so tell us about how you first came into contact with Shriekfest.
Well, the first screenplay I wrote was The Making of Merciless, and it's based on some filmmakers in the woods trying to make their own film. And basically the footage for the behind-the-scenes footage is found, and they're viewing it. That's why it's called the Making of Merciless, because Merciless is the movie they're making, and they're looking at the behind-the-scenes footage. I wrote that screenplay, and it was the very first one I wrote, and I sent it to Shriekfest. And Denise actually emailed me directly and said that we like your screenplay, and it didn't quite make the top 10, but I told her thank you for that, because this is the very first screenplay I wrote. So. Yeah, and then she kind of encouraged me to get involved, and I was actually interviewed by her just recently through Shriekfest Radio. So we've been in contact quite a bit ever since.
Oh, okay. And when was this?
The Making a Merciless screenplay, that was in 2012, and I've been trying to come back here. This is my first time in LA, actually. I'm from New York State. Yeah, and I flew out just to see Denise. She invited me to the press room. I'm writing for a UK-based horror website called The Slaughtered Bird, and so I've been writing movie reviews for them for a while now, and then they just asked me if I could represent their website at this event. So.
Okay, so you flew in from New York.
Yeah.
Oh, well, welcome.
Here, and I appreciate being interviewed by MoreHorror. I've heard a lot about you, and I'm very excited to talk to you.
Well, More Horror is a really great website. Seth Matoyer is my boss, and they do movie reviews too.
Yeah.
So tell us about your current one. So it's a horror comedy.
Yeah, basically my ex-wife came up with the idea. I was...
Well, so your friends.
Yeah,
Do you want to tell us about your divorce?
Yeah, we actually, my friends and family say that we actually hang out more divorced than we did married, because we were really good friends still. And one time she was actually at my house in upstate New York, and it was during a polar vortex, snow. We were snowbound in the house, and so we were stuck there together. And she said, you know what would be a good idea for a comedy is a divorced couple are stuck in a house during a zombie apocalypse. And so I stole that idea, and I wrote a screenplay right away. And after I shared the screenplay, and a lot of my friends from New York wanted to be involved, and it's currently in the process of being edited, but it was filmed in July, and it was a great experience. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So where do you live in New York?
I actually live closer to Syracuse, which is central New York, but I have a lot of family in Brooklyn and Manhattan area.
Okay, is that close to Niagara? I mean, we're here in California, so.
It's right in the center of New York. Yeah, if you go from like the Canadian border to New York City, it's right in the center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Syracuse.
There's a filmmaker who worked for Asylum named Ken Cosentino, who's really big into filmmaking in Niagara.
Yeah, and I have some friends. The people that are in this, the zombies in this movie are based out of Buffalo, Niagara, and they're called Terror Technologies, and they've worked with Tara Cardinal on some of her films, and basically when they heard about my script, they said, how about we do the zombies? And they were more than, they basically drove themselves, and they did all the zombie work. They're professional zombies, and they do zombie events all the time, and yeah, so, but they did the makeup, and they kind of taught everyone how to act like a zombie, and it was pretty fun.
Oh, that's great. So when is it going to be released?
Well, hopefully I'll have it available on iTunes or Amazon within the next, by the end of the year, hopefully.
Okay.
It's still in post-production.
Okay, and so this is the poster for it?
Yeah, it's called Annulment, so it's kind of like based on divorce, but I also called it annulment because it's like as if the world is being null and void and nullified and annulled, and so that's so that little connection there, and but it's pretty funny. I based it mostly on just my ex-wife and I still get along, and we have a pretty funny rapport, and so I thought we could use that in the film. And I make a disclaimer at the beginning so that I'm contractually obligated to say that my ex-wife came up with the funniest parts.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask if you gave her a special thanks credit or something, but that's better.
I'm thanking Denise in it as well because she really inspired me, and she pushed me. As I said, I was on a Shriekfest interview with her not too long ago, and she was really curious about this and really kind of encouraged me to continue forward with it. So I was pretty excited.
What made you decide to go into show business? Is this something you went to school for, or you just always wanted to do?
I've always been into movies, and I've been more into movies than most of my friends. When I was growing up, my friends knew who played for the Yankees, but I could tell you who was the cast and crew of Star Wars, and you know, I could name directors. You can name any movie, I'll tell you who directed it. And so I kind of went along with that for a while, and I was actually a college professor, a film professor for a while.
Okay, well, okay, you went to school to be a professor then?
Yeah, I actually started off being a college professor. I went to school at Michigan State, which is Sam Raimi's alma mater. And I went, after that, I went to Seattle, and I was a film professor there for 5 years.
Well, that's important information. I mean, you're educated, and you're educated in your craft.
Yeah,
well, so your film must be great.
Well, I like to think so. I mean, I didn't really go to school for film school, but I just was an avid reader of screenplays, and so I just read up on as many as I could, and then I decided to just give it a try. I actually, the reason I decided to be a writer is because after teaching, I went into a kind of a corporate gig for a while, and then got laid off, and then so I was stuck without a job, and so I thought, well, let me try this thing that I've always loved doing, this writing and also movies. So first screenplay I wrote, I submitted to a film festival, and then here I am. So.
Oh, good for you. So you're living your dream then.
Yeah, I think you can say that.
Well, congratulations, and thank you for doing this interview with us.
Thank you very much, Don. I appreciate it.